Want to know how my clients are consistently adding 5 to 15 high ticket coaching clients every single month while spending less than 3 hours a week on content? Look, I've helped coaches scale from struggling to get consistent leads to building predictable $20,000 to $50,000 per month businesses. Some have even pushed past $100,000 per month. So the sky is the limit. But here's what makes this different. They're doing this without endless DM outreach, without expensive ads, and without becoming a slave to content creation. And I'm going to show you the exact framework that we use that I call the in-demand model. And this isn't theory. This isn't fluff. This is the exact same system that's worked for now over 220 coaches across different niches. And I'm going to walk you through every single one of these pieces. But before we dive in, let me be really clear about who this is for and who this is not for. This is for you if you're looking for more consistency. You want consistent calls, clients, and you want more cash flow coming in. And you actually care about getting people real results, not just chasing social media fame out here. And you want a more lifestyle-friendly business model that doesn't actually chain you to your freaking computer. And this isn't for you if you are a complete beginner who hasn't yet started an online coaching business. Or if you're more interested in vanity metrics and actual freedom, client results, and profit. Or if you're looking for overnight success without putting in the work, this definitely won't work for you. Because what I'm about to share with you isn't just another post and pray strategy. It's a complete system for attracting and converting your ideal clients predictably. That's the key word. And I'm going to show you exactly how it works. So let me first start with how I discovered this system, and I promise it'll give you some powerful insights that you can use right away. Back in 2012, when I first left the fire department after a near fatal incident, you see, I was electrocuted and hospitalized for multiple days. And at the time, I was really out of shape, but I was grateful for a second chance at life. And that pushed me into the fitness world. And so I got myself in pretty good shape. And then I started as a personal trainer at an LA Fitness in 2013. Working in that big box gym environment taught me something crucial about the sales process, about the training process, both what worked and what I never wanted to do again. And so I took those lessons and I started to run boot camps, which eventually grew into my own fitness center. And so from 2014 to early 2020, we scaled that business from zero to basically 300 base members and served thousands of people during that time. But here's where it gets interesting and where I learned one of the most valuable lessons about building a predictable business. You see, at our peak, one of our members' husbands approached me about investing in our fitness concept. And he ended up putting $50,000 in, and I took out loans and put another $30,000 in. And so combined, we put $80,000, and we partnered with this high-end franchising firm out of South Miami. And what happened next changed everything about how I view business systems. You see, we had to create what I call a Lego instruction manual for the entire business. Literally, steps 1 to 575, covering everything from opening an LLC to delivering an exceptional client experience. And here's the first big insight. You need systematic processes for predictable results. Now, that probably sounds pretty obvious, right? But here's the thing. Most coaches say duh to this while they're running their businesses on hope and chaos. And you see, next, something happened that taught me an even more valuable lesson than that. While we were out there trying to sell franchises like Ray Kroc was selling McDonald's, our main location started to bleed money. You see, I was running 2 different businesses at once, and I suddenly found myself $45,000 in debt right when my first daughter was born in early 2017. And I'll never forget sitting in my gym parking lot, literally gripping my steering wheel, tears just coming down my face as I was looking into the rearview mirror. And at the time, I just felt like a complete failure. I couldn't even pay myself a paycheck, let alone provide for my new family. But at that rock bottom moment for me, it forced me to figure out something that would eventually change everything for me. I didn't know what to do, but I started to go and speak at local communities. And my first speaking gig was actually to a bunch of kids about vegetables. Yes, really. And I may or may not have been a broccoli. And then I started talking to the Chamber of Commerce, actual adults, business people. And then I started to do Facebook Lives. Facebook Live had recently become a thing. And they were terrible ones at first. Like I had scripts and like papers were flying everywhere, completely unpolished. But after a while, a Facebook friend of mine saw me and invited me to appear on a local TV station down in Miami where she worked. And then this led to something completely unexpected, a conversation with a producer from American Ninja Warrior that revealed the missing piece of this whole puzzle. When I asked him, how do I secure a spot on the show after I had tried and had multiple failed attempts? And spoiler alert, I ended up getting on. But he had said something that hit me like a ton of freaking bricks. Your story is number one. And that's when it clicked for me. It wasn't just about having systems. It wasn't just about showing up and delivering content or putting out marketing. It was about messaging, about learning how to tell stories that bridge the gap between where people are and where they want to be. You see, stories that give people crucial aha moments or epiphanies or insights, that's what drives real transformation. That's what influences and drives people to take action. And so I applied this insight to my online fitness business that I had launched in late 2019, and we immediately hit a $12,000 cash collected month in a single month. It was like 11,000 like 800 or something, but I'll round it up to 12,000. But then something interesting happened from there. The next few months became wildly inconsistent. Some months my content would explode with engagement. I'd get tons of stuff. Others would be crickets. Some weeks my calendar was full of sales calls. Others it was completely blank. And my revenue at the time was bouncing between $5,000 and $20,000 per month. And I remember being incredibly stressed. I even considered at one point, because I now had two kids at the time, Ava and Jackson, and I considered getting a part-time job just to stabilize my income for my family. But that's when I remembered those two critical lessons, systems and storytelling. And I want you to keep those in your mind right now, because this is going to basically frame this entire system. So I want to show you exactly how I combine these two elements into what inevitably became my breakthrough moment, because this is where everything changed for me. I tried posting a specific post that combined powerful hooks, strategic storytelling, and clear call to actions in a way that I never tried before. And when I woke up the next morning, something was completely different. I had hundreds of notifications on my phone, and I had about 12 to 13 inbound DMs from pretty qualified prospects. And it wasn't just the engagement. These were like real potential clients that were reaching out to me. And so thinking that this might just be a fluke, I tested it again a week later, and it was a similar result. And then I tried it a third time, and again, similar results. By the end of that third month, we had generated $33,383 in cash. And so at that point, was pretty sure that I had cracked the code. I was onto something. And so about a year and a half later, my online fitness business had blown up. And other coaches, especially in the health and fitness space, they started asking me, they were like, how are you doing this? And so in 2021, I pivoted to teaching this system to others. And the results shocked even me. The first month teaching this marketing system, my business hit $80,000. I mean, word of mouth spread, and we scaled to 113,000. But more importantly, our clients were getting insane results using the same exact approach. Like Leo, who was my very first client, he went from bouncing between like $1,000 to $10,000 months to end up going to 26,000 and then to 33,000. Or there's Alex Solomon, who went from terrified to speak on camera, and he was like bouncing between like 5,000 and maybe 8,000. He ended up scaling to $33,000. Or no, it was like, I can't remember. It was up there towards the $30,000 per month range. And he ended up blowing up his audience and actually becoming an influencer and a very impactful coach. And so let me break down why most coaches that I see are still struggling to get consistent results, especially coming from my own experience where I was. They're typically stuck in one of these traps. The first one is going to be what I call the post and pray. They're throwing content at the wall and they're just hoping something sticks. They're struggling with conversions, right? They can get some engagement, but they're not getting predictable sales. They are using more of like what I call volume over strategy. They're thinking that more posts, more DMs will automatically mean more clients. In a lot of cases, that's not the case. And then there's the algorithm chase, right? They're constantly chasing new strategies based on the latest platform updates. And that's just a never ending game. And so through tons of research with hundreds of coaches, I mean, we've now served at this point 220 people, and I've audited more than 500 coaching brands just throughout like doing audits and just research. And I found a very clear distinction between what's working now and what's not working. And so let me share with you what I found in my research. There's the old kind of 2023 and God forbid even 2021 and before that model. And this is where most coaches are still using, where there's endless short form content without a real strategy. And there's random posting basically with no systematic approach. And this causes this heavy reliance on like cold DMs and just basically a lot of outbound, and outreach. And it's very time intensive with minimal return. And what we've found is that less than 2% engagement come from ideal clients when people are posting just this random content or like these short form reels. And then they end up converting less than 1% to sales calls. In the new 2025 model, like what's actually working now is strategic content ecosystems across multiple platforms and an integrated approach using social, like a top of funnel, an email, and a long form content channel, which I'll share more about in just a second. And focusing on building genuine demand for your stuff. And then focusing on systems rather than the schedules. Gone are the days where you can be like, what do I post on Monday or Tuesday or Wednesday? It's more so like getting more strategic than that. And this, we want to focus more on inbound, right? The inbound methodology, which we're going to unpack. And what we have found is there's a 3 times increase in quality leads. And there's a 10% increase in higher conversions to calls. And when people are on calls, I'll share some of those numbers in just a little bit, like conversion rates from calls that we found. But what we're seeing is that only 4 to 5 hours a week on content creation, in some cases actually 3 to 4 hours a week on content creation, and around 8 to 10 strategic posts weekly. And so the idea and the goal here is quality content over quantity. Now, let me break down exactly how this works. I call it the 4C funnel flow. And this is all built on what I call magic messaging. This is the DNA of your brand. So before we unpack the actual funnel, you need to understand something crucial about messaging. It's not just about what you say. It's about saying the right words in the right way to the right people. Like, think about this for a second. When people are scrolling on social media or they're listening to a podcast or watching a YouTube video, they're usually incredibly distracted. And so you gotta literally grab them by the eyeballs and make them stop. But here's the key. You can't just be attention grabbing. I mean, plenty of people can do that. You gotta be attention grabbing to the right people. And so the 4C funnel flow works like this. We have at the top, connect. And the whole goal here is to attract quality inbound leads. And so the focus is we want to be able to create initial touch points that resonate with people, your ideal clients, at the top of funnel. And then we have captivate. This is going to be middle of funnel. And our whole goal here is to engage and nurture warm leads. And so the focus here is deepening relationships and building trust. And then thirdly, we have convert. And so the goal here is bottom of funnel. We want to be able to turn hot leads into clients. And the focus here is strategic conversion events and booking calls and closing. And then we have cultivate. And the goal with cultivate is beyond the funnel. I call it spicy. And this is where you are retaining clients, you're delivering results, and you're ascending clients. And the focus here is on long-term transformation, generating referrals, and building monthly reoccurring revenue. Building up that, so that way you're not having to start over every single month, but you have like a reoccurring revenue base that's coming in. And so let me break down how we implement each of these stages, and we're going to go ahead and start with the connect phase. And so the connect phase has what I call a main strategy that we use called the daily growth engine. And it has 2 main components. First is going to be borrowing traffic. And we use what's called the RISE method. So basically, instead of trying to build an audience from scratch, we strategically tap into an existing audience or existing audiences. And so we have a very specific approach for getting booked on the podcast, leveraging other people's audiences. And it's not just about random outreach. It's about positioning yourself as the perfect guest who can bring real value. And then we have organic visibility. There's a simple social funnel that you want to be able to implement. So we've developed a very streamlined approach that works beautifully on both Facebook and Instagram. But here's what makes this different. We're not trying to go viral, or we're not trying to please the algorithm. Instead, we're laser focused on attracting your ideal clients with content that speaks directly to their needs. Both of these strategies, though, the key here is to drive people to what we call a strategic lead magnet. Now, what most people kind of go wrong with lead magnets is they create lead magnets based on what they think their audiences want rather than what their audiences actually need to move forward. So the power here is actually being able to align this, which again, I'll unpack here more in just a second. Next, let's go ahead and unpack the captivate phase. The real magic happens in what I call strategic content ecosystems. This is the core strategy that we use for this. This is where we're going to combine 3 different elements and we're going to infuse demand building content. So this isn't about just posting value and hoping for the best, because hope isn't a strategy. It might cause a rebellion, but it's not going to build your business. And so every piece of content needs to strategically build demand for your solution. And so let me show you exactly how this works. Think about your content ecosystem kind of like the Bermuda Triangle. There are 3 points to it, right? There's Florida, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. And it creates this mysterious invisible force that pulls things in. But instead of losing ships, you're capturing ideal clients. And so here's the structure of how this works. We have a top of funnel. This could be Facebook, this could be Instagram. For some, it's LinkedIn. And the goal here is to create strategic content that repels tire kickers and that attracts your dream clients consistently. And then we're going to use email marketing. And so the whole purpose of email marketing, it's a nurture channel. So we want to repurpose your social media content strategically. So all we're doing is we're taking your best content and we're putting it down here strategically. And then we want to have very, very specific and clear offers. So we have a whole offer strategy that insert call to actions that help be able to A, build a responsive and engaged list, and that B, help move people into the convert phase of the funnel. And I'll share more about like our kind of core conversion and VSL strategy in just a minute. But moving on, third, we have a long form platform. And the whole goal here is to build more authority and trust. So usually YouTube. And the whole goal with this is we're not trying to be like Mr. Beast out here. We're using this as a nurture tool to nurture our top of funnel audience and our email list. This is the goal. Our focus is on solving micro problems for people and building trust through deeper content. And how I work this is when we have under 5 clients per month, what I recommend to people is combining just your social media channel with your email, because you could do long form content on a lot of the socials. And then once you're beyond 5 clients a month, we found that adding in what we call the YouTube funnel, and we have a very simple playbook for it, just makes things way more powerful. And the beauty of this ecosystem is that it works like an actual Bermuda Triangle with 3 different touch points. And so your content ecosystem literally will pull your ideal clients into your world. But unlike the real Bermuda Triangle, they're not going to get lost. What happens is they get influenced. They've built deep trust with you. Hence why the system relies on less content and more, it creates more inbound leads because it's a very inbound focus. And so remember, trust is not built with time in your pipeline. It's built through the amount of content people consume from you. I've literally had people that are in my world for 48 to 72 hours and they're ready to hire me for high-end consulting. And so that's the key. It's long form content. And so when you have this ecosystem working, prospects will see you everywhere. They're going to receive a consistent yet hopefully powerful message from you that builds real authority and builds real trust. And you want to be able to have a mix of different content. And so there's going to be what I call connection content. This is where you're building genuine relationships. You are letting people in on what you stand for, what you stand against, your values, your beliefs. There's going to be authoritative content where you're showing social proof, you're dropping deep insights, more thought leadership stuff. And then there's going to be conversion content, right? This is where you are moving people into, you're basically creating demand for your stuff. You're moving people into maybe a masterclass, promotion, a live training, something like that. And then there's belief shifting content to where we are literally challenging limiting beliefs. We're dismantling objections. We're discrediting common mistakes people are making. And then there's a long form value type content to where we're doing deeper dives into like really crucial topics that your audience is interested in. And to create predictable inbound leads, what we do is we run what's called conversion content campaigns. And so these are strategic sequences of posts with powerful hooks, clear call to actions, and powerful stories. This is the post. This is what I was telling you about when I combined systems and storytelling earlier. And this drives people to what we call conversion events. And again, this could be a masterclass, a live training, a workshop, a promotion, or even a strategic YouTube video like this. And so lastly on here, we have what's called the core conversion strategy. This is core conversion content strategy. And this is where everything kind of ties together. This is where we create one powerful piece of content. This could be a video sales letter, a strategic live training session. It could be a workshop. but it follows this exact structure. We want to first create a magnetic hook. We want to include your story to build connection. We want to include your unique mechanism. This is what makes your solution different. And then we include social proof to show that it works. And lastly, we have a very clear call to action. And when you have this piece dialed in, you can literally splice this into short form content, long form content, in various video formats. And it becomes a very powerful content engine that drastically reduces the amount of time it takes to create content while increasing conversions when you set the system up properly. And so this is one of the things that Kurt Rollins mentioned, the conversion content campaigns, as a key driver to him scaling to $30,000 per month. Now let's talk about turning all this attention and authority into actual clients. The convert phase is where coaches either overcomplicate things or they're leaving a lot of money on the table. Now, I've tested multiple approaches extensively over the years, and here's what I found actually works predictably. You see, we have 3 core conversion strategies that we used and that we've tested, and each is designed for different stages of business growth. There's live conversions. This is what I call T-shaped workshops. This is our approach to when you're ready to scale beyond just one-to-one calls. So instead of trying to convince people one at a time, you're basically demonstrating value to groups of qualified prospects at the same time. But here's the key difference. These aren't your typical like pitch fest, webinars. They're structured to create genuine results for people before asking for the sale. Then we have personalized conversions. These are strategic strategy sessions, and where most coaches go wrong, in my opinion, is they try to sell people on these calls. Instead, we use what I call value first conversions. Every strategy session is designed to deliver real value whether people either buy or not. And so this approach consistently converts at anywhere from 70 to 90%. When people have too high of rates, it's like your prices probably need a raise. But generally speaking, across our clients in our business, you'll see it in our at least data converts higher than most traditional sales approaches. And then the third is going to be the what I call pre-enrolled conversions. And this is a waitlist strategy. And it's by far my favorite approach once you've got some momentum, because you build genuine demand and you create a wait list of qualified prospects who are literally eager to work with you. And it's not about fake scarcity. It's about authentic positioning, because this makes you the obvious choice. In fact, my client Patty used this approach to get 30 women on her wait list for her most recent launch of her faith-based weight loss program. And so when she opened the doors, in less than 4 days, she exceeded her goal. Her goal was 10 clients, and she ended up signing 11 in less than 4 days. This stuff is really freaking powerful when you apply this. So here's how to know which approach is right for you, depending on where you are in business. If you're under 20K per month, I recommend focusing on strategy sessions. This is what I basically did. And you want to use the lead nurture process and send a pre-call like video sales letter to people. And you want to keep it really, really simple and high touch. And then when you're around $20,000 to $80,000 per month, this is where I find it a lot more impactful to implement T-shaped workshops. And this is where you want to use, groups, get groups of people to congregate on a Zoom or on a live training session. And it allows you to be able to book more sales calls in bulk. And then you can reuse the workshops and the trainings as assets and lead magnets. So it becomes like a double whammy, if you will. And then when you're over 80K per month, adding in chat-based sales where you're basically selling through chat works really well. Where the keys with this is you want to have a proven offer doc with good copywriting, and you want to be able to have like a really good script and flow that allows you to be able to convert. And this allows you to maintain premium positioning and pricing without having to be on tons of sales calls or hiring sales teams and appointment setters and stuff like that. So we find that works really well for a lot of people, including ourselves. And so here's what makes this different though from other sales approaches is we are not trying to convince anyone. This is the power. The content ecosystem we built in the earlier phases, that does the heavy lifting. By the time somebody reaches your conversion event, they should already be 80% sold. The 20% is going to be like fears and things that you just have to help coach them through. So let me show you how this works in real numbers. Traditional sales approaches typically are 20 to 30% conversion rate. Maybe you're higher, maybe you're around there. The value first approach has a baseline of 70% conversion. Some clients are hitting 90 to 95% consistently, But again, I tell them to raise their prices. I'm like, the market's telling you it's too cheap. But anyways, why is it such a dramatic difference? In my opinion, it's because we're not starting the sales process when somebody books a call. We're literally completing it. The entire ecosystem is designed to qualify and pre-sell people. So your conversion events, whether it's sales calls, workshops, you're selling through chat, it becomes a next step rather than a high pressure situation for people. This is exactly how our clients like Patty went from struggling to close sales to hitting $25,000 months in her weight loss program, or how I mentioned Leo went from like bouncing between 1 and 10K to going to 26K, then the 33K. And then he started selling $100,000 contracts to corporations. And it was all by implementing the systematic approach to sales. But there's one more crucial piece to this puzzle. And so let's talk about cultivate. Because where most coaches leave an enormous value and revenue on the table is in this phase. This is beyond the funnel. And it's built around two core concepts, what I call the tiered offer and the retention rhythm. So let me share with you to kind of paint the picture, a painful lesson that led me to this approach. In my online fitness business, we had 100 clients at one point, and we ran this complex machine of front-end offers, back-end offers, upsells, downsells, you name it. And it was a freaking nightmare to manage. And it actually hurt our client results, which I later discovered. That's when I kind of figured out the power of like really simplifying our offers and our back-end delivery. And so here's what works for us instead is the tier-based strategy. And so instead of having this complex web of offers like I used to have, and I see a lot of people do, we use one core offer with two strategic tiers. The first is going to be more of like a community tier. It's going to be group-based, right? Support and learning, things like that. Typically like a lower price point than your like a one-to-one would be. And it's perfect for self-starters. It's perfect for people that want to be part of these communities. And it's highly scalable. And then there's the same offer, right? Everything should be the same. And I call it the hybrid approach. You just add in one-to-one support. That's it. You're giving more one-to-one support plus a community. And you could charge a premium price point for that. So this is perfect because a lot of people in your audience, there's a segment that want more access to you. And so you have a built-in upsell path for people that want that. And so what we have people do is people can ascend to one-to-one, or they can stay in our community, or they can, hire me directly for consulting. So there's multiple ways you can do this. And this approach does three crucial things. A, it makes your offer easier to sell. B, it improves client results through very clear delivery. And it builds predictable monthly recurring revenue, what's called MRR. Think about that last point for a moment. Imagine starting every single month knowing that you've already covered your basic expenses. That, my friend, is the power of proper client cultivation. But here's where it gets really interesting. When you implement this properly, something pretty cool happens to your time allocation. So before a lot of our clients implement this, they're spending 80% of their time on marketing and sales. And they're spending probably 20%, if we look at their actual time, on delivery and results. And they're constantly stressing about next month's income. And because of that, there's limited ability to actually improve your program because you're spending so much time chasing more clients. And after implementation, what we found is because the system is set up, 20% of the time goes to just writing or making videos, creating content and marketing and sales. And 80% of your time can now go into delivery to results to making an epic program. And it creates more predictable monthly income. And because you have that time, you could put more continuous program improvements, you get more testimonials, more case studies, higher client satisfaction, all of the stuff that we're looking for as coaches. Then from there, you can buy back 10 to 20 hours a week to focus on your zone of genius. And you use what I call the scale and freedom framework, which is our fancy name of basically saying you got to implement these three pillars. And this is where I see so many coaches kind of fall back, is team building, right? You need to build a team of at least one Ninja virtual assistant. They can handle a lot. That's what I currently have on my team right now, is we have a Ninja virtual assistant. And I don't say that lightly. Like, I will give you my exact VA hiring playbook, including like where to find top talent, how to test for the right skills, training systems that work, management frameworks that scale, task delegation templates to make it super easy. And then secondly, process documentation. Like, I've developed a system to where you can reclaim 10 to 20 hours a week easy by strategic task documentation. Like, you just gotta especially some of the marketing tasks and some of the administrative stuff that you don't want to do, right? Clear operating procedures, SOPs, decision-making frameworks, quality control systems, client journey mapping, the whole deal. And then the third is delivery optimization. Like, this is where you truly step back into your zone of genius by having streamlined client onboarding, automated check-in systems, progress tracking frameworks, scalable support systems, and clear ascension paths. The beauty of this framework is that it builds on itself. So better processes lead to better client results, which lead to better testimonials, which make marketing easier, which gives you more time to improve your processes, and it's a virtuous cycle. And so here's what most coaches miss. This isn't about just making your life easier, though that does that too. It's about delivering better results for your clients. Because when you're not consistently stressed about marketing and sales and trying to find clients, you can focus on what really matters. Transformation. Most of our clients are like, dude, I just like I like to write, speak, and teach. Write, speak, and teach. It's like, put yourself back into where you feel your zone of genius is. Now, everything that I've shown you so far works, but only if you understand this fundamental truth. This is probably hands down the most important thing that I'll share today. So pay close attention. If you say the wrong message to the wrong people at the wrong time, nothing else matters. You can send thousands of DMs, post content every single day, spend a fortune on ads, and run challenge after challenge after challenge, but you won't get quality leads predictably. Let me share a perfect example that illustrates this point. There was an influencer that I was consulting with who was in the fitness space, over 600,000 followers, but struggling to break $10,000 per month consistently. Meanwhile, I was working with another fitness coach named Trianka, and she had just 6,100 followers on Facebook and like maybe 4,000 friends. Want to guess what she was making? Over $30,000 per month consistently, with a record month of $80,000. The difference was messaging. It reminds me of that scene in Rush Hour, to where Chris Tucker goes to Jackie Chan. He says, "Do you understand the words that are coming out of my mouth?" It's like, that's exactly what's happening with most coaching businesses right now. You're speaking your ideal client's language, but are they truly hearing you? Maybe, maybe not. This is why messaging has to be the foundation of everything. Every piece of content that you share, every piece of connection content, every piece of influence content, every piece of authority, demonstration, right? Every conversion content, everything. Like, messaging needs to flow seamlessly through your lead magnets, your social media content, your video sales letters, your workshops, your strategy sessions, your actual offer. Because when you get this right, everything changes. And the best part here is this isn't about becoming some pushy salesman or some social media celebrity. It's about becoming truly inbound and attraction based. No more constantly chasing leads or wasting money on ineffective ads or hiring setters or whatever, or posting and praying for results, or dealing with, heck, the feast and famine cycles that come as an effect of that. Instead, you create a steady flow of qualified prospects who already understand your value. They come to you pre-sold on your ability to help them, making the sales process natural and authentic. And so think about what that would mean for your business. So if what I shared today resonates with you, and if you could see how this systematic approach to attracting and converting clients could help to transform your business, I'd like to invite you to help you implement this. And so if you're interested, here's exactly how it would work together. First, I'll create you a personalized roadmap for your entire business. We'll audit your current marketing, your sales process, your delivery systems, and we'll identify the key bottlenecks that are holding you back. And then from there, we'll create a very clear, impossible to misunderstand path to being able to grow. Then I'll help you actually implement this entire system that we went over. We'll dial in your messaging through one-to-one Zoom calls, you and I. We will build your content ecosystem step by step together. And then we'll set up the conversion systems. And I'll hand you over all my proven SOPs and templates and frameworks, everything that you need, so you can buy back 10 to 20 hours of your week to step back into your zone of genius. But I know what you're probably thinking about: ROI, return on investment. So here's what happens in the first 8 weeks we work together. I call these easy money moves. Firstly, we set up 3 conversion content campaigns that you can run immediately. Then we implement a proven resell rhythm for your existing clients to add more monthly recurring revenue. Then we deploy a targeted cash campaign to help you just get some quick wins from your existing audience. And so the goal here is to help you recoup your investment as quickly as possible while building long-term sustainability. Now, I do things a bit differently than I think most coaches. There are no setters or salespeople in my DMs. So if you reach out to me, you'll talk directly with me. And you can see the full offer and pricing without getting on a sales call if you choose. And there's no hard closing tactics, there's no pressure, because if I have to convince you, you're probably not a fit anyway, and that's totally okay. And so if you are interested in getting my help, my personal mentorship, simply send me a DM on Facebook or Instagram with the word mentorship, and I'll send you all of the details right away. Now, this is the first step that people like Olivier have taken to get 80 clients in his fitness business in under a year, or Emily has taken to generate $12,500 in her business and eventually to $20,000 using this system. Edward's been able to scale to multiple six figures in his business, and we've used this same methodology going into like bigger brands like Mike Westerdel's Critical Bench to help them with their YouTube videos, implementing some of these same principles. And we've had over 220 coaches go through this process at this point. And so if you are ready for mentorship or to be able to inquire about mentorship, shoot me a DM with the word mentorship and I'll get back to you. And if you are not yet ready, that's totally fine too. I hope that this video was really helpful and valuable to you and gave you some clarity and insight. And if you're not ready, you can follow me on Facebook for daily insight, subscribe to my YouTube channel for deeper training. You can listen to the School of Impact podcast for ongoing support. And remember, your message matters now more than it ever has before. So don't be afraid to speak it. The world literally needs you. It needs your gift, your message, and what you have to offer, but only if you can communicate it effectively. So the real question is, are you ready to stop hoping for results and start creating them systematically? If yes, DM me with the word mentorship now, and I look forward to helping you build a truly sustainable, scalable coaching business. As always, be seen, be heard, and be impactful. Bye for now.